Welcome to We Love the Hype, a podcast about advertising and PR from me, college lecturer Molly Wilkins. This podcast serves as a supplement for my classes, but is also open to the public with interviews and conversations that I hope will have engaging, enlightening, and entertaining stories about our industry. Today's conversation is with my friend and sorority sister, Ady Meschke of Verbal Gold Blog and influencer FastPass. She's someone I've even taken classes from about how to sell myself in this ever-growing influencer space, and I'm thrilled that she took the time to speak with us. I know that you will get so much out of this conversation. On to the show. Okay, so, Ady, and you pronounce your last name Meschke, is that right?
Yep.
I want to make sure I got that right. So you and I got connected through the Ady Pi alumni group, and I have to say up front that I am actually one of your students, and and I've gotten so much out of it, and that's one reason why I wanted to reach out and speak with you, because your career to me is just amazing. So let's just briefly start from the top. I know you went to Alabama. I know you're an Ady Pi. I know you started in corporate marketing and sales, but go from there.
And first, I just want to say thank you so much, and thanks for having me.
Yeah.
I did. I went to Alabama, Roll Tide, and I was an Ady Pi, and I graduated, and I, was, I don't want to say pushed, but heavily influenced to go the corporate route, do the corporate job, have that corporate career, the pension, the 401k, and I did that for a while, and it just really wasn't my passion. I started traveling with that job. I was in charge of the Southeast Territory.
Wow.
And I started talking about traveling all the time, and it just kind of, I fell into that, so I started posting on Instagram, which back then it was, this was 11 years ago. So, Instagram didn't come out, I don't think, until 2015, and thought it was so strange. And then ultimately, with all of my advertising experience, I was like, okay, if this is a public platform, there's going to be brands, if you're going to build your following, wanting to use influencers to promote their products. And my first deal, I think, was $35. I think my second one was $100. And I started doing it more and more. I started getting made fun of more and more. And then, one day in corporate America, which I think it's a lot about perception back then, because I did work remote. And, when you post a lot,
yeah,
it doesn't matter what the content, their perceptions, they think are reality. So they might think you're skipping out on work or doing, cutting out work hours. So, at that time, it was so new and different. People really didn't know. I'm sure they know more now, but I got let go of my job.
Oh, God.
So I didn't have any savings or backup. I wasn't preparing to leave. I was one of the top reps in the company. I was bringing in I was top 3 in revenue. I had one of the largest advertisers in the world spending $1 million a month with me. So this was totally out of nowhere. And I interviewed somewhere else, and I didn't get it, which had never happened to me before. And I thought to myself, I think this is a sign that I am supposed to put both feet in and take this path into being a content creator. And it was not received well by my family, but I was like, let me just give it a shot, And it went well. It went really well. I'm still doing it 11 years later. So I guess the rest is history.
Doing it 11 years later, and then also, so you've got over, 300,000 followers on Instagram, which isn't even really the whole number. The whole number is also your impressions and then all your other platforms. So if you were
gosh, there's so many platforms: Threads, TikTok, YouTube, Facebook, Twitter, X now. My blog. I'm an OG blogger, so I do have a blog and a blog audience that is from Blogger. There's followers on Like to Know It. There's followers on Clubhouse. There's followers on LinkedIn. There's people everywhere. and
you can sell all of them, really.
Yeah. Mm-hmm. It's all about understanding your audience, who your who your followers are and who they are on each platform, because it does vary, and then speaking to that person and providing value.
And so you work with brands. If you were to put out, and sometimes it's so hard to talk about dollars and how much people make, but you just put up a video, and I had actually reposted it, talking about how, I don't want to take the words out of your mouth. What was it that you were saying about why you go ahead and put out how much money you make?
Because I feel like transparency is key, and it's so important with companies like FU Pay Me or FY Pay Me, that company that, it's like the Glassdoor for influencers. That's relatively new, but I didn't have that growing up as an influencer. I didn't know what people were charging. There's creators that I help that have 50,000 to 100,000 followers that still don't charge for basic things like usage rights that people should be charging for, that we're able to increase their budgets by thousands of dollars, because if you don't ask the brand's not going to say, hey, oh wait, you didn't charge me for this. So I think the transparency is key. And the video you're talking about, I hit my first 6-figure week as an influencer, as a content creator, which I think is, I'm like mind blown by that, because, I never thought that was possible. I am not the it girl, the most popular person on Instagram, the people that have their own clothing lines and all of that, jazz. I'm just a regular mom on Instagram. So there's so much potential for everybody, which is why I love it. And
so just in case students think they've misheard that, you just hit your first 6-figure week.
Yeah, it's crazy.
That is incredible.
I took summer off. I took the entire summer off to be a mom, to stay home with my son and just be really present. And that is why I chose this career, because as in corporate America, I was working 9 to 5. I would often work until midnight because I wanted to be the best. Then I would have the Southeast territory. I'd have to fly to all these locations in the Southeast, like Florida, et cetera, and stay there overnight. I would miss things. I was working so hard. I was on my way to burnout. And then I got fired. And I was like, if I can work that hard and be that good, and somebody can take it away from me in a second without any notice whatsoever, it tightens my chest up. Like that, it just seems like the only solution is to take matters into your own hands and build your own brand. And because the money is amazing, but don't get me wrong, I like the money because of the freedom that it provides, the freedom that I get to take the summers off, to stay home, to be able to help other people, there's just so many reasons that time freedom is the ultimate goal. Like the generational wealth I want to provide for Colton growing up, but mainly the time is what I'm after.
So, and there's an article that I read recently that I actually shared in our influencer group chat thing about how influencer culture isn't going anywhere. If anything, it's growing.
Yeah. It's crazy. I think, what was the last number? 25 million?
Something like that.
I don't have it right in front of me.
Yeah,
but
I don't either.
Like, basically, it went from 9 million to 25. I don't know if that's million or billion. You'll have to fact check me later. But it is more and more advertising dollars are being spent with influencers, which is wild because I came from the yellow pages. Okay, let me age myself. Did you ever have a yellow pages?
Yeah, I did. And I moved into my grandparents' house, and there's still some like old yellow pages here.
Oh my gosh, I would die if I saw one right now. That is where I started selling ads. I sold ads to lawyers and plumbers and whoever would buy one, honestly, for the yellow pages. And then I moved into the digital ad space, which was banners on YP.com.
Oh my God.
Right? Okay? Like baby steps here. And then I moved into mobile ads across the web for like a startup company. And then I started being like, okay, startup is cool. And then now I'm selling ads for myself. Like I am the ad. And it's such a full circle moment to be like, you're basically just selling yourself.
So I love that you said selling, because I think that's something that I don't know that we really talk enough about. So what was this? This is actually being recorded for my principles of PR class. So yes, PR is a huge part of that, but sales is also a part of what you do. And before we started recording, you said something about even having to, like, one job, you went door to door in suit and heels. So, tell me about, what does it take to sell yourself and to have that kind of confidence? Because I know that's actually one reason why I became one of your students, is because I could look at my numbers and go, why do I not have enough confidence in myself? And I've been doing influencing. I mean, I had my first brand reach out to me.
I love that.
Well, I had the first brand reach out to me in 2013. So I don't know why this is so strange to me. Sometimes I treat it as something that I'm new to, but I went back and looked at it and, like, I actually was working with brands a while ago, but I was never aggressive enough to counter their offers, to ask for money, because that first brand, it was Smirnoff Vodka's ad agency, and what they did.
That's a huge deal.
It was, and they found me.
Like little mom and pop shop, like.
What was funny was it did not occur to me to ask them for money. What they were doing is this. It didn't even.
Okay, this is why I want to do this podcast, because this stuff, I'm like, I want to go get that money for you.
and now I am. But, like, back then what they were doing is they were sending me free alcohol, and I was writing content for their little insider influencer hub, and then they were putting it on their social channels. And back then I was so new to it that it didn't even ding dong occur to me to sell myself and ask for money. And so
now you can reach back out.
I've certainly thought about that. I think my contact is actually
100% should.
I think my contact has moved on elsewhere. I don't know where they are. I need to look on LinkedIn. But I think you've hit this key point about sales and knowing you and knowing your brand, but also I think so we did an exercise in one of my classes last semester where I had students pretend to be a brand and that they were reaching out to an influencer to work with them.
Love that.
Yeah, and so as somebody who's in this influencer space, when it comes to working with brands, if they are cold calling you, what do you expect from a brand? What should students be aware of that's considered, I guess, good manners, so to speak, when you're reaching out to a brand or reaching out to an influencer?
I think being direct, while also building the relationship, but being fair and to the point. This is for influencers too on both sides. I don't like a lot of fluff, and I'd like to know, obviously that you are genuine and authentic. I hate when people say, hey, we follow you on your Instagram. It's like, what Instagram is that? You can tell it's a copy and paste email.
Yeah.
So having that genuine connection with someone, if you do, if it's a cold call, it's a cold call, and that's fine too. Just don't say that you've been following me for 10 years, So being genuine, and if you have budget, saying we have budget, this is a paid collaboration, or this is an event we would like your presence at, this is an unpaid event. Just being direct with people, because we get hundreds of emails, and a lot of people want, just links in your blog or a free shout out, or they just want to say hi, or they read a blog post and they want you to put together a travel guide for them. And just there's so much fluff already that you can tell when people mean business. And so that's what I always appreciate.
So thinking back to when you first got in this influencing space, do you remember what your first major brand deal was? And do you remember about how much they spent with you?
I would have it on a spreadsheet, because I have a spreadsheet broken down. Every tab is every year.
Oh, that's smart.
I do. I have it all. I don't know. I would say that my lowest brand deal was like the $35, well, free, obviously, when I first started. And then, the $35, the $100. And then I think I got one for $5,500 or $5,800. That was through Walmart. Which I thought was amazing. And I was so appreciative of that. I think that was one of the largest ones that year when I first started taking this seriously. And then, now my largest brand deal is $75,000. So and that's just one brand deal. So
that's phenomenal. So what goes into a 75,000 one brand deal? What goes into that? And of course, some of that's also, I think people listening have to bear in mind, you have a tremendous audience. So that's well, you're welcome. Well, and
I don't have the most followers. I think when I got it, I had maybe 100,000 followers on Instagram.
Wow.
I mean, this is an old one, a couple years ago.
So and I think one thing that's interesting, what I love about your course, is all the many different little things that we don't always think to charge for, like whitelisting. Like, I didn't think about that. And so whitelisting, I'll let you explain what that is, because I'm sure I've got students who don't know what that is.
Yeah, absolutely. It's basically when you create an ad for a brand and they want to boost it. They want to put money behind it and run ads on it, but they're not going to take the ad and run it on their pages. They want to make sure that they reach all of your audience however long that they want to, which they have to put those terms in the agreement. I generally want to do between, longer than 3 or 4 months. Most of the time when this was really new, people were asking for rights in perpetuity, and that means forever. And you never want to do that, because there was a contestant on The Bachelor who wore a costume for Party City, and he looked ridiculous, and he gave away his rights in perpetuity. And then when he became famous on The Bachelor, they started running his ads again. Like, he supports Party City. It's basically like your endorsement. So you don't know what you're going to do for the rest of your life or who you're going to be. You never want to give away rights to your face, your likeness forever. And so with whitelisting, they can run it on your own channels. With usage rights, they can run it on their own channels. And you have to set those limits, however much a month. But that is where the big bucks come in. Like, I might charge, let's say I charge $5,000 for a video. I'll charge $2,500 a month to run ads with it. And that's not their ad budget. That's what they pay me to take my content to run ads. And sometimes I don't even post the content on my own pages. They just get to keep it.
And that's the user-generated content, right?
Yes. Mm-hmm.
And so that's something that has been talked about. I mean, user-generated content has been around for a while. I can remember working for a website, and this drove me crazy. This website's not in existence anymore, but they wanted free user-generated content from bloggers, and that, it just, for me, working for them, it just made me nuts. But so it's been around for a little while now, but I see a lot more people talking about it, especially when it comes to not just writing, but images and videos and that type of thing. So that's something that I love that you talk about, is you don't have to have the most followers, but if you're putting out good content,
exactly,
you can still make money.
My videographer that I just used, that I was using, his content was so good. And when your content is that good and it gets noticed, he just got a job from the Tyler Perry Studios in Atlanta. And so he's no longer a freelancer right now. He got swooped up by the big guys. That's how good his content was. Like, he might have had 1,000 followers, but his content was fire.
Wow. That's amazing. And I can just sense that my film students, their ears are perking up with that one. And that's where it's important to know your rights.
If you create, great content, you're going to be wanted by a lot of people.
I think that's really, really important for students to hear, because I know a lot of them, especially seniors and juniors, they're like, what am I going to do? So it's almost like, and granted, we have internships for students, and internships, of course, are very important. Plus, they're required to do it to graduate. But it's almost like you can also see your own branding and your own social channels, almost like you're creating your own internship.
You should have a brand. You should be building your brand. You should have an LLC, especially for tax purposes, especially while you're learning. Like, putting out content, like, behind the scenes, of you learning things, of you trying things, of you, even the failures. I put out my failures all the time, because nobody is an overnight success, and you really get a good community that's invested in your journey when you're showing the journey and the process within yourself, because people love that. You don't just especially like during a renovation process, like the before and afters are amazing, but people want to see you, putting up tile and doing the work and showing the process so they can learn too, because essentially people are getting value from that. So starting now, that's one thing I wish I would have been able to do.
I love that you mentioned the failures, because that is something that I have spoken to students about, and I can feel the resistance the moment I say it's okay to fail. Not necessarily.
So many failures. The most. I have the most. Mm-hmm.
But like you said, you learn, out of this experience, you learn more from the failures than you do the instant successes, because you have to turn around and regroup.
100%. An L is a lesson, not a loss.
You know what? I like that. An L is a lesson, not a loss. I'm going to use that with students.
I've learned something from each time, and what you do is you just get better from it.
Yeah.
And they say a lot of the millionaires that I follow and I learn from on the books that I read and listen to is that, especially with investment, I've always, tried to find investors in previous companies. They say they won't work with anybody if you don't have 7 failures under your belt. Because they know that you need to, that you have that perseverance, that you can continue on, that you have that tenacity, the determination to keep going. And they want to know that, you have that in you. Because a lot of people, when they fail, and they will quit. And those are the type of people that you don't want. You have to move past that. That fear of failure is really big for a lot of people. And it's the same thing with sales. Like, we touched on sales for a little bit, but you're going to get told no a lot. And I think that the no's that I learned in sales, you would think it has the opposite effect, like it beats down your confidence, but really you just have to have a mind shift. You just have to change your perspective a little bit, and you want a no. I always say I want a no, because what you'll do is you'll start to work out your own algorithm within your skills, or whatever it is that you're selling, and you'll figure out that it takes 10 no's to get 1 yes. Or say you sold, say your deal was $4,000 and your commission on that deal was, $400, but you had to call, I don't even know, however many people to get that no. Let's say 10 people. I can't do the math in my head. Each call is worth X dollar amount. Like, so you're getting paid essentially, let's say $22 for every phone call you make. And that's one way to look at the no's, is that you're going to get paid for every phone call, whether or not it's a no or a yes, versus just landing that one deal where you're getting the $400 commission. Like, you need the no's to get to a yes. I'm like, okay, no, I stopped taking it personally. It's not that I have a thick skin or anything like that. I just expect a no. It's my expectation. Okay, great. Thank you. Have a nice day. Next. Like, I went, like you said, I went door to door. I had doors slammed in my face. I cold called. Oh my gosh, that was the worst. You get told no. You hang up. You just keep going, because you know that after a certain number of no's, you will get a yes.
Yeah, I love that. And are you? Do you feel like you can say which company it was that you worked for with the door-to-door? Was that also the Yellow Pages?
No, oh my gosh, I don't even remember the name of it, but it was like one of those coupon book companies.
Oh, I remember. I
think it was. I think it ended up being like a pyramid scheme or something. I had to be out of that. We had to wear suits and heels. Oh, it was an experience.
But it sounds like you learned a lot even from that. I think the thing I take from what you're saying about getting paid for the no is that it's not even just the grit and the determination to keep going. It's the retooling your sales pitch and learning how to shift things and read your customer better even.
100%. There's so many things that you learn with sales. You learn how to mirror people. There's so many different sales tactics that you can learn and use on working with people face-to-face, over the phone. I think the sales skills I learned in my sales job were probably the most valuable, because it doesn't matter what industry you're in, you end up having to sell yourself. If you're selling the invisible, like my husband is in finance, and he has to sell returns, and those are invisible right now in the beginning, But there's a lot of people that could benefit from a sales class and sales information.
No, I think that's fantastic. And then and I don't want to keep you too much longer. I know I'd said 30 minutes, but so if I've got students right now, and I know I've got some students who, for instance, did you see the Amazon student influencer program that they ran last year?
No, I didn't. I missed that.
So and I didn't even know it was happening until I saw some of my students posting about it, but Amazon sent them basically free stuff. And I don't think they were also getting paid, but they just sent them stuff to post about it on their social media channels.
They didn't send them a W-9 or 1099 tax information.
Who knows? I have to ask them. But let's say that Amazon or a big company like that were to reach out to students again. I've got a few in mind who I think are naturals even for your program. So take this chance to pitch the Influencer Fast Pass, because that's basically another one of your businesses. And what that does, because it's a completely separate thing really from your own brand and your influencing, I guess is a good way to put it, right?
Yeah, my brand is Verbal Gold Blog, verbalgoldblog.com online, and then at Verbal Gold Blog everywhere else. And Influencer Fast Pass is my course, and I don't teach people how to make amazing content. And because that is, within yourself, there's a lot of people that teach that, but that changes so rapidly.
Yeah.
My main objective is to teach people how to get paid. I get really irritated when I find brands, taking advantage of creators. Because a lot of creators are either right out of college or they were moms or stay-at-home moms before. I came from the business side, and I want people to get paid their worth. And there was such a gray area because it wasn't a career. I grew up when it wasn't a career. It's a career now, and like you said, they teach classes about it. So there should be structure to the payment. People should know how to get paid and what they get paid for. And so that is my goal, is to help people get paid, to provide transparency, to let people know their worth and what they should charge for, help them create media kits and pitch templates and emails and subject lines. Like, there's so much that goes into it, and all that I learned during my sales time in corporate America, and I use those same techniques and strategies to close deals with brands, because ultimately that's what I was doing before, is working with brands. So when a brand reaches out to you, immediately you need to say thank you, and is there budget for this campaign? Is there budget for this product? What is your budget for this product? And so we have all of these, what to say, what not to say, templates and examples inside of our course at Influencer Fast Pass.
Yeah. And I'll say, of course, clearly I'm a fan. And, going from, 2013, where I was, getting stuff for free and whatnot and thinking, oh, that's great, and not even really realizing I was creating content that was worth, actual dollars to the brand. To now, I think I told you all about this, that I had a brand reach out to me because of that super crazy, insanely viral video that I had. And granted, they're a startup, so I don't want to disparage them. By saying the dollar amount, but they were offering a very, very low dollar amount, just almost like a press kit type thing. They sent out saying, "Hey, we loved your video. We want to give you lifetime access to this app, and here's the dollar amount we'd like to pay if you could also make some content." And one thing I will say is that because of your class, I felt good about, I think I'd already also gone through and recently redid my press kit because of the video, and looked at the numbers and was like, oh my God, I can actually charge blank amount of money for a single post. Like, really? And so I was able to go back to that brand and say, hi, I really appreciate you reaching out. I actually charge a little bit more than that. Can we have a conversation? And Perfect. That was where I felt good. And then I ended up getting on a Zoom call with the CEO and founder, and
Amazing.
we hashed it out. Now, did she come all the way up to my rate? No. But I felt good about the dollar amount, also because it's a female-led business and a startup. Right. So for me, I was you
sold yourself over the phone, and you sold your worth. That's amazing.
Yeah, and that's
all it's about. Because some people that are small businesses, they don't know how the industry works. People maybe like the Walmarts of the world do, but some businesses are new to this. So you're going to have to educate along the way too, and that's amazing that you did that.
Yeah, well, thank you. I felt really good about it, and that's where I struggle in the influencer world. And then I also look at students and they're putting out content and whatnot, and they don't always know that they can get paid, but they know now. So if they were to, your class is not always open though.
No, we changed it. It's open all the time now.
Okay. So if they were interested in purchasing the class, and sometimes you put out some free tutorials, right?
Yeah, all the time. And we have a free webinar right now. If you go to getinstapaid.com, it goes right to the registration page where you can watch a free webinar all about the influencer economy, making money, and how to work with brands.
Love it. Thank you so much again for speaking with me. I really appreciate it. And I know this is going to be great for students, and I'm sure that you're going to probably have some of them reaching out to you for the getting paid for the, what was it again, the website at getinstapaid.com?
Yep, getinstapaid.com.
Awesome. Thank you so much.
And I'll have to give you a link because we should be doing a student discount. And I always, when you reach out to small brands and businesses that are local, like the ones that I work with in Atlanta, Walmart may pay $5,500, $6,500. I may jack my rates up. I just actually did jack the rates up the other day for a brand because I know that they could. But
right.
The small businesses in your area, I always do a 25% off small business discount. It's just something that I offer because I am a small business too. I've been a small business. I've owned a couple companies. I'm an author. So I do understand, that. But I think it's something that we should also be offering to students. So I'll have to set you up with a link.
Awesome. Love that. Thank you so much.
Of course.
Special thanks to our guest today, as well as all the sponsors for my content production. Advanced Dental Arts, Katie Berg at Mayo Hill Law, El Sombrero Restaurant on Forsyth Road in Macon, Georgia, and Triple Dot Social. You can find links to all of their websites in the show notes. Be sure to give them a visit as a thank you for their support. Show music is Drop the Tapes by Track Tribe from the YouTube Content Creator Studio. Again, my name is Molly Wilkins, and I am a lecturer in the Department of Communication at Georgia College and State University in beautiful Milledgeville, Georgia. To learn more about me, check out all my social pages with the handle LoveMollyKate, or go to HelloMollyWilkins.com. Be sure to continue to follow along with us with this inaugural season of We Love the Hype.